remember only about 4.5, 5 years ago, as the run was going on back then, that everybody was about tired of liberal democracy and all the trappings that entail it. And a whole new candidate had stepped up, really, that hadn't really been seen before. Some will argue, some of the points I'm going to make, but I'm going to try to give it as clearly, concisely, from the heart, from my own regarded opinion, so to speak. And, due to the times that we were looking at, like, late 2015 entering up into 2016, we had what was presented before us. He campaigned, and what was to be a contested election, remember, against Hillary Rodham Clinton. And, there was the things with the emails and Benghazi and, Gaddafi and all that. And she was supposed to be brought up on charges, and when Trump got in office, of course, he dropped the charges. Which, politically, you gotta figure they do favors for one another. I'll leapfrog forward for just a moment into what's going on now with the impeachment and everything. I was less fortunate to have caught the mainstream news. CNN is a complete joke, okay? It ought to be like Romper Room or something. It's so ridiculous. But the way Biden's tone was and how he didn't give a clear answer, I'm guessing that he's going to let this one slide. We'll just have to see how it plays out. If I'm wrong, I guess I'll have to eat crow. Okay? Okay, so we go back and we go through Mr. Trump's famed presidency, which I am about to make arguments that whatever good times we had left with his presidency. Like I said, this is just my viewpoints. It doesn't reflect YouTube, any of the listeners out there, whatever side of the coin they may be on. This is just a personal report. A fellow that's been in this, with the rest of this manic mess that they call social media. We go into that. Okay, social media. He was one of the really first effective presidents to use the platforms. And what happens? Well, we know what happens first. We got censored on our level, But then they censored him. And a lot of people were like, well, hey, let's make our own platforms while we have the chance. Remember this about Trump. There's probably a lot of things he knew that we didn't, okay? And that he was, in fact, going up against a juggernaut. Now, he probably had the best autonomy of a president that has probably been seen since Richard Milhouse Nixon, okay? Remember, like Nixon, Nixon pulled him out of Vietnam and everything. He tried to smooth things over and all that, even with the Liberty incident, wasn't he in office when that happened? Yes. And, tried to avoid wars, and that's kind of what he was doing with his wheeling and dealing. Now, anybody that's a politician, corporate government, if you will, is going to be a player on the world stage. So they're going to be out there, they're going to be rolling dice with all the big boys, Putin, Netanyahu, the Chinese Parker brothers, Yahtzee, the whole 9 yards, just roll the dice with all of them. And there's a way of kind of dealing with them and trying to, manipulate things in favor of your people. Now remember, the United States itself is a place where they're all trying to get to, right? Open borders, all this stuff, everybody wants to come here, right? Why do they want to come here? Because we are probably the consumers around the whole world. We only represent how much? Help me with the math here. Anybody, that's looking stuff up. I'm shooting off the cuff right here. We represent the United States as a whole, the world population, maybe 10%. I don't know, that may be going a little high. I'm not sure. And we consume like 25-30% of the resources. So effectively what we're seeing, what's happening to America and, the United States and all that, is everybody's coming in and getting the last little bits of the pie. They're kind of, the cat is away, the mouse will play, they'll go scurry and get all the rest of the little goodies that are left till it's exhausted itself, and it goes belly up. But for years and years, decades on end, let's say post-1945, okay, the United States itself has been a major consumer and exploiter. And I don't care about the people who are above us, okay? Happens to be the 10th letter of the alphabet, okay? Those people, you allow anybody to manipulate you and stuff like that, just like what's going on now, which I gotta watch my speech on here, okay? Then expect these things to happen to you. Forming a possible nationalist unions, yeah, but they're trying to put a stop to it. They're violating, are about to violate posse comitatus. A lot of the, or most of law enforcement and people in any government positions are on the take, so they're going to go along with this agenda all the way down to the worker, okay? The poor slobs like us, or even the unemployed. Now that so many normies have lost their jobs, even liberals are losing their jobs, okay? I mean, I just expect something to happen myself with the way the whole system at large is running, okay? It's literally in the processes of going belly up. You might, as conditions get worse, and, you're enjoying less privileges and amenities and luxuries and creature comforts and such, a lot of people are out of work, they're starving, let's just take it down the road for the worse here. Okay, it goes down the road for the worse, then you're going to see people react. And with the civic and civil climate, racial, political, and all that's going on in this country right now, I don't see a bright future for it. And remember, there are a couple of things I must go over and warn everybody about. That includes you people in the government, okay? Is you're going to have a lot of factions jockeying for position, eyeing for power, trying to make some type of power play. Let's say, dictatorial powers, like what we're basically witnessing right now. You're gonna have that happen, and then you're gonna have pockets of resistance, uprisings, the whole 9 yards. We view this like a science fiction movie. So remember, there's more truth in the movies and lies in the news anyway. Okay, so. Then these people are going to come up, right? And if they seize control, these various groups, like let's say the QBs, for example, which are gaslighting the whole truth community, all nationalists of all stripes with these Q people, right? So you take these Q people here and you put them in charge. What plan do they have? What plan do they have, okay? Will they run it better than these goons that are running it now? And I'm being nice when I say that, okay? Because they could screw it all up even worse. Just like, what these idiots in the Q have done, promoting like a military coup, okay? Militaries don't run countries, okay? People do. The militaries defend them, okay? When you start using them in the almost Orwellian or what Toffler was writing in the fashion of that, expect negative results. Definitely expect negative results. So, we'll skip back now. I kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent and go back into the Trump presidency. So, all the while, they were playing the race card on them. So they could open up and bring in all these kinds of people with their multiculturalism and inclusion experiments, things that they put up on the board that you have no decision in. And they say it's supposed to be a democracy. The whole idea of democracy is ridiculous when you think about it. We're supposed to be a republic of participants where everybody has a say or, produces something and is taken care of. The in-group, okay? And that could go to various nationalistic and racial points of view, okay? That's just how it is. You can talk to anybody you want that'll try to confuse you, try to argue with you about it. If you want a dose of reality, just go to prison, okay? And you'll see for yourself what that reality is. So all the talking points and everything they're trying to ram down your throat is everything like Bernays, Goebbels, and them about they just keep repeating the lie, they keep programming it, and even though they know people are resistant to it, and they're hoping that they can still instill this. So they paint him out as a racist and all this stuff, right? And he gets stonewalled on the wall. And then there's the shit with Colfage and Bannon that were scamming us. And I gave like $35 for that son of a bitch. I want my money back, okay? Either way, it was symbolic, A few causes I ever donated to would be like something I'd give to somebody that needed money. I don't expect it in return. I'm not like these groveling grifters out there. Money is not that important to me at this point because the system's going to crash. But anyway, going back to Trump, was, as a businessman that he was wheeling and dealing to try to keep the stuff going, but the political climate was getting so bad and they were blocking him at every front, and, the MAGA people, and they couldn't get it together. It's like, they were playing like a game of deficit basketball or something like that. Trying to play catch up, but yet not really, bringing out the big guns, so to speak. A 7-foot-tall dude, and all that. Speed merchants that'll run the ball down the lane and slam dunk the son of a bitch. Okay, that happened. Okay, so then we go into 2017. And we see what happens with the advent of these stupid-ass e-celebs and federal agents, shills, trolls, disinformation agents like Richard Spencer. Okay, help me think of some right now. Chris Cantwell, Nealon, all these ones starting these so-called movements out there grifting down fucking alleyways themselves, wanting you to give them money and all this, promising you the moon and the stars. We can't do it without your support, blah, blah, blah. So you just give them money and then there's nothing. You don't meet people. You don't do things. But we go protest. Which brings me over to the Charlottesville debacle, which is chock full of feds, just like this last one that happened. Fucking fed up all the way, okay? It happened the way it happened. I'm not going to explain it. Those of you who are listening know and have your own opinions about it, but know the historical facts that happened, right? Now, what would have happened if it had been Obama or Biden? Okay, now Trump did back off on that and said, look, these kind of like a dad in a way, and he's like, look, these kids are fighting with their ideologies and stuff, and, some bad people here, bad people, you always generalize shit and all that, although there were a lot of feds there, and a lot of it was out of his control, okay, whatever his people were doing, he probably didn't trust half of them in his administration. I mean, look at how many of them flipped on the guy, but he could have maybe done something for that kid that was driving that car. Right? Yeah, I agree. He could have done something there, But he's a political prisoner, unfortunately, like a lot of other people are going to be, because evidently the what I would call the NKVD, or even the Gestapo, because the Germans hated them too, is coming after you. Okay? So, yeah, so, we get beyond Charlottesville here. Hang on a minute. And, he's wheeling and dealing. At least he had enough balls to kind of at least try to bluff the Chinese a little bit. He wasn't a bought paid for shill like Sanford and Son over here that are running the place, okay? And so, he actually, his numbers were looking pretty good. The economy was doing pretty good. And then there's something that I gotta watch that'll get me such more than anything. It's like I called it the pneumonia, okay? And any platforms that don't let you give you any freedom of speech, they used to at least have some leeway, but a lot of idiots came in, like going back to those Q people as of recently, and like the people that control us, like, you see, look what they're doing. We need more regulations. This is what they do. They do it with the protests. They do it with the internet. They do it with all of this stuff. Okay? So it's like, it went for the bait. The mouse went for the fucking bait. The cat didn't even have to get him. He went right to the mousetrap. Boom. Gotcha. Okay? So, do it fine for a little bit. Still a lot of social and racial problems that are, we had the, what happened, of course, with those two groups. I don't want to mention their names, but I will cite them as being terrorist groups, which they are, which the other factions of the government and corporations and such support. Mind you, there are a lot of corporate shells out there, too, listening in on all of this, compiling their data and all that. You worry about the feds and stuff. Fuck, Walmart and McDonald's alone could form a fucking army, Army of trolls, street soldiers, whatever they want to do, they've got all of these fucking people out here listening, and I'm going to laugh when their trade system collapses, when God and nature have finally said, enough is enough. And like every great empire, like what's going to happen to the United States. Now, it's an empire, okay? It doesn't seem to have been a republic since 1865, okay? It's going to go into the dustbin of history. My primary concern is, it's all I knew, everything I knew. What the country was supposed to be, I love it. But if it means abandoning it in order to survive and our people to survive, then so be it. That takes precedence over everything. So, a lot of people aren't going to recognize even basic city and government organizations, the police, the FBI, things like that, how can you take these people seriously for what they're doing? The literal Al-Shabaabs is what they are. And just taking their water, going right along with it, and, the same shit happens to them that happens to everybody else. So don't get upset about it. I urge people, your days of being a reactionary, if you've been in this, stomached it, and weathered the storm for a long time, those days should be behind you now. And you should start thinking with a clear head. And, let's see, as far as not doing anything until you have F truth. F4 courage, ready to go. Okay? Until then, you just navigate your way through it. You find people. Don't be like these all-or-nothing absolutist assholes. You're going to find allies on all fronts. They're going to be Christians. They're going to be nationalists. They're going to be this. They're going to be that. The shit will take its course, people. Okay? And you'll begin to realize after a while, a lot of them are. The exact plans that we in our groups were trying to tell them for years. So back to Trump, okay? So, he's doing good, he's wheeling and dealing and all that, and then that whole sickness hits and everything, and we got what we have now, okay? Unprecedented in world history. It's not only here, it's all over the world, okay? What does this mean for the average dude sitting around, whether it be me sitting here or some other dude of some other origin and nationality on the other side of the world? It means you're fucked, okay? And it means you better start looking for the big collapse to happen, because it's coming. And start networking with those people around you of different stripes. This is where I was getting to the point of my video about various nationalist and other types of groups, patriots, whatever, they're of all different stripes. First and foremost, start forming themselves together, and then unilaterally coming together to just kind of defend their own ground at this point. Because it all flies open, people. Remember this. It leaves the doors open to foreign invasion, things like that. We don't know if this is what these fools want for us, Your guess is as good as mine, okay? Just be prepared. Take it down to your ground level. Any agents, anybody comes to your house, refuse to talk to them. Call the cops, even if the cops are in on it with them. There's a chance that they might not be. So a lot of them don't like federal agents. They'll document that they were there, and they'll say, look, you got any problem? We'll call you, and I got no question. You say, look, I ain't saying nothing. And run them the fuck off. Unless they got a warrant like they're doing to these people on the internet. I mean, what the fuck, man? Really? They just gotta come storming in. So they take away, they put this new thing in that makes NDA, what is it? Help me here, people. That makes NDAA look like a cakewalk, okay? Where the military can detain you and bring you to a military tribunal. It's everything brought to you by neo-Bolshevik communism and all of its underpinnings, okay? There's many names for it, for lack of about 20 other titles I can give them, okay? This is what's brought to you by them. Okay, do you want to live in fear? Franklin may be right, You don't deserve it. You ain't hungry enough, I'm talking to people everywhere, and they're alarmed. I know that's part of the fear-mongering with the change of administration. Biden's going to try to shut you up by throwing you a few crumbs here and there, okay? And it just... you're gonna watch it all unfold. I mean, the guy is not the best of health, physically or mentally. Anything happens, and the vice president gets in and stuff like that. Clearly, she is not qualified to do it. So, what is she? She's the perfect puppet. You see what I'm saying? It's what they've done all along. It's what they've done all through the movements. All these ones in the farthest, most radicalist parts of the right. I don't even want to mention any of their fucking names anymore. I'm so fed up with them. They really helped. They wanted accelerationism. Well, they got it. They put a lot of fucking of us under the gun. And I tell you what, if any of them are ever found out by the average people or anything like that, just the ones on the ground level that did their dirty work on the internet and all this political crap and violence and all that, man, there's going to be a pissed off populace you're going to have to answer to. Believe me. And they're not as stupid as what you think. Grant you, there's a lot of zombie apocalypse and dummies out there and everything like that. But not all of them. I'd say still half of the populace still has some semblance of agency or a sense of abstract thought that don't know. And it's going to be on a lot of sides. So you better at this point get away from all that, your protests, the internet activism, all this crap, putting yourself in a line of fire. A lot of you voluntarily doing it, Me, I've always been the town crier, so, and I'm a little bit older. I'm not a boomer, but, I thank God for that every day. But, what's going to happen when they go? The extras are not sure. You know what? Generation-wise, they're all fucked. Every one of them, okay? It's going to have to be a paradigm shift in consciousness of people. I want to get back to a more self-sustaining, righteous, and in tune with God and nature, the way of living. What has been laid down from generation to generation, peoples to peoples. Before all this, I gotta watch what I say, I guess, garbage happened to us. So, with Trump out of office now, there is a possibility, people are speculating, and it is conjecture at this point, that there may be MAGA movements, there may be alternate movements. I say go for it. What else have you got to lose right now? Be careful of the federal agents. Try to take it down on a grassroots level to limit their infiltration to where you're not out there marching on D.C., marching on Charlottesville, them building their chaz or burning cities down the other side or anything like that. You're building Fort Courage, okay? And you're going to wheel and deal with the Indians like Trump did, with Chief Wild Eagle and all that. You know what I mean? I got to kind of correlated. Like I said, there's more truth in the movies and lies in the news. I sound like a broken record when I say that, but it really is true. Unless you read some really good ideologues. I've bought some books that everybody has talked about. Some of them I've liked. Others are kind of repetitious or not practical for the situation we're in now. But it doesn't mean dismiss everything. Dismiss the history, dismiss all the movements that we've been into, or, what people have done in the past, right? Anything that was just, you found yourself as an individual in that circumstance, and you did what was naturally right, okay? It's going to take a lot of resolve from people, a lot of discipline, okay? And you're going to have to realize that they up the ante. It's a whole new ball game now, and you're going to see a lot of incidences occur, and especially with this mandating of certain attire that you have to wear on your body, and not being able to, run up and hug your grandparent or child or family pet even, because there are these really wacky rules that have been put in place that clearly have nothing to do with nothing. Like, what was it Randy Savage said? Nothing from nothing is nothing. So you gotta be like the cream and you gotta rise to the top. Okay, I'll always say that, and I know a lot of people have tried to emulate a lot of my experiences and personalities on here because they got nothing better to do. They take folks like me, I'm not the only one, okay, and they rabbit hole us and they just siphon like leeches. They just leech onto the people and they siphon the information, they recycle it, they get them to view all this bullshit, then they try to bring in the special effects and try to change your thinking or get you to go with something that, you just shouldn't be doing. Now, a lot of people like to boast on how we're civilized and, how we are decent people, which I have no argument with that over. Start acting that way. Be strong, too, where you need be. Okay? But nothing beats the truth, God, righteousness, you and your people. You understand me? Okay? No matter what circumstances you're in, if we were in a foxhole or a concentration camp, there's going to be those dudes in there that, oh man, you're with them and you got to look after them. Then there's going to be those people that are going to uplift you. They're in the worst situation, but they're in there, raising your thought processes and your spirit. Saying, yes, we can get through this. We can get through this together. Even if we don't, we know we did our best, okay? And that we didn't go out like a bunch of punks.
Order. Okay? They're not arresting Trump. They're not arresting Biden. They're not arresting Hillary Clinton. They're not arresting Kamala Harris. They're not arresting Chucky Schumer or Maxine Waters or Nancy Pelosi or any of them fucks. They're coming to arrest you. You better wake up. And if you have an alternate destination you can run to, if you have a place in the woods that you can go hide, if you have a bug-out bag and you have the means to survive and you know how to survive in the woods, you better be fucking getting ready to do it soon. Because I don't think Biden's going to be like Trump and sit on his ass for 4 years and do nothing. He's going to start rounding people up. And it may be your community they come to first. I don't know. That I can honestly say, I don't know. I never said Trump wasn't leaving. I said quite the opposite. Going after the kids first and then the guns? Well, we'll see. Q, I tried to tell people, Q is a goddamn troll website from 4chan. 4chan is a troll website. That is where Q comes from. I told this to people over and over and over, and everybody fucking ignored me. They all ignored me. So don't hold me responsible. I warned you. Can't hold me responsible. No, it started out on 4chan. And then it got big, and
Buck Melanoma donated $5 through Super Chat. That's not a hole. That's a doorway to the truth. Wake up.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much.
they moved it to 8chan. But it started on 4chan. Yes, it did. Trump did not sell out America to the Democrats. Trump did not sell out America to the Democrats. Trump sold out America to the Communist Chinese Party. Oh, Bon, there you go exaggerating again. Oh, Bon, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, Bon, you're full of shit. Oh, Bon this. Oh, Bon that. Oh, Bon.